All right. First off, I thought it was a hard-fought game. Credit to Clemson. They did a good job making the plays when necessary throughout the course of the game. I thought they obviously as we went through it, they were able to hit some explosive plays. They did a good job of negating our run game. They're offensively. They did a good job of being able to work and eat up a lot of clock there at the end of the there in the fourth quarter to try to put the game away. With a big run and obviously a couple plays there on the perimeter. Just disappointed in the result. Disappointed for our guys. I thought they played hard. I thought they did fight. It was we had our opportunities, but it's absolute minimum expectation here, and we got to go and we've got to get the job done, and we had just mistakes that would put us as we had momentum or good plays. You have a good stop, we'd have either a penalty that extended the drive. We had a couple of negative plays there offensively that put us in way too many third and long situations. We became just totally one-dimensional. In having to drop back, which obviously presented some challenges for us there in protection. But just disappointing that some of the easier things that we can control, we did not do a good enough job with. We had some bad snaps, like I mentioned, some of the penalties. We had a couple communication, bust. That just when you're playing a good team, obviously it gets magnified that much more. And I thought our guys battled. I was proud of some of the plays that we were able to make, and some of the I thought blocking the extra points blocking the field goals was something that was really impressive. Big stops in the moment. But obviously we talk about owning the football, and we had the interception that was something that was a miscommunication in what the receiver was doing, and obviously Brock trying to throw the ball on time, but that big play with turnover there, and then we I don't think we created a takeaway, which is something that we continue to emphasize, and we had a few potential opportunities, but didn't finish the play. So we've got to be better in that regards, and just like I told the team, we've got to do the simple things better, and that's coaching, that's players, that's all ownership for all of us. As we try to continue to emphasize the fundamental approach and continuing to put ourselves in position. There's again, and what's it's frustrating as guys that have played a lot of ball they're making some just having some plays that are really costly in moments, and it's not from a lack of want to, it's not from a lack of the work, but just in the moment, unfortunate things that are happening that are hurting us overall as a team, and like I said, we all have to get better. You're going into a bye week. We've got a lot of work to do, and so we'll be back in tomorrow. Learn from mistakes, continue to self-eval of where we are. I was proud of some of the young guys that you see that have stepped up and taking advantage of opportunities, and we're going to continue to push opportunities because at the end of the day, we left too many plays out there on the field that we've got to be better at, and so whatever that takes, whatever that's got to look like, we got to get it done.
What were your general thoughts on Brock's play, how he handled the offense, how command of it was he in, and just how they were playing for him?
Yeah, I thought he did a very solid job. He put in a lot of work in his preparation. I appreciated his energy. He showed toughness throughout the course of the game. Made some really good plays, and obviously there's a few just in just like through the course of all games that you'd like to have back, but I felt his presence was was really good. Very encouraging to the guys, even after a bad play. But we also got to make plays around him as well, and we've got to be able to get the run game going and establish to take pressure off the quarterbacks, and obviously it takes pressure off the offensive line there in some of those situations with the pass rush. So, but I thought he did a good job, and we'll be able to go back and watch a lot more of the finer details and of just areas where we're going to continue to grow and get better.
Can you take solace in what the red zone defense was on a night when you give up 500 yards of total offense?
Yeah, I mean, I thought that this is an offense that's been playing, at a pretty high level, and I thought our guys, there were some plays that some unnecessary big plays that we gave up, but I did really like the way that they battled, down in the red zone, and obviously. There's still plays that we've got to be able to finish on, but I thought it showed grit, in how those guys were able to respond in challenging situations.
Mike, you said that the tight end room had to be better earlier this week. Landon comes up and leads the team in receiving, and Amari makes the touchdown. What did you see from those young guys at the tight end role today?
Well, I mean, a couple guys trying to take advantage of the opportunity, and it's there's still a lot of areas where those guys have to grow, and what they've got to do, but you saw them take positive steps, and obviously there'll be a lot of things in the run game that we get to continue to coach, and just understanding and communication. Some of those things hurt us, throughout the course of the night. So I mean, those guys, it's a challenge to them to continue to make sure they're spending that time just to build their confidence there in the moment. But there were definitely some positives from that room that we'll be able to take and for all those guys to grow from.
You've talked about kind of with those young guys wanting to see certain things in practice before you feel comfortable putting them in the game, seeing how they handle that. Is there any, with the spark some of those guys and Brock somewhat brought at times tonight, is there maybe you thinking about using them earlier, or regret about maybe not seeing if they could bring something earlier in the season?
Are you saying do I regret? Is that what you asked?
Seeing if the younger guys or Brock.
No, I mean, it's obviously there's a lot that goes into it. I mean, I promise you, we want to do everything in our power to win a game, and we're working our butt off to make sure that we're doing that. And yes, it's it's the balance of things to help you operate and making sure that we can, because we had some mistakes that showed up because of maybe not as experienced in communication or situations, and things where we're going to have to be better, and those guys are growing through it. But I'm glad that they did what they did with the opportunity they had tonight, and obviously we've got to continue to grow them throughout practice.
Coach, after SMU, you said that you needed your team to have a better response, but you guys obviously were down 17-0 in the first quarter. What did you make of this slow start, and how come you think the guys came out so flat?
I don't think you say they came out flat. I don't think they came out flat. I don't think we maybe executed as well as we needed to. I don't obviously gave up a couple big plays. We had to had a turnover. I mean that's but I think our guys were were excited for the opportunity to play. We didn't obviously we didn't start the way we wanted to, but I wouldn't say that they came out flat. We just did not. We just didn't get off to the start that we needed, and but I thought our guys did fight and respond, and so we got to be better in how we start games.
Mike, is there a way, you look at Cade, he had 11 rushes. I think Brock had 3 real rushes, and maybe only one of them was an actual called rush. Is there a way to get his legs more involved to try to help this running game get going in any way?
I mean, that's something we'll continue to evaluate. I mean, there's, we did have that as a thought. And there were certain looks that we wanted to be able to try to, create that. But unfortunately, we didn't get to that as much tonight. So we'll continue to evaluate all those things.
I guess just with the running game struggles, I mean, is it a combination of several things, or have you isolated, or is it different things in different situations?
There are combinations at times. I mean, just I'd like to say there's just one specific problem, but I mean, there's been times that we've had leverage issues. We've had obviously things in our technique. We've had track issues at times. Obviously got to give credit. They did a good job in a couple pressures of forcing a TFL with corner cat. I know on one that kind of got us in that moment. But it's all three. It still gets to all three levels. And there's certain times where they're forcing. I say force. I mean they're adding an extra hat to a scheme that we might have that might force the ball out on the perimeter, and we have not been as good as we need to be. Whenever that ball does get to the perimeter, to force teams to soften up on the edges. So those are all things that we can. It all benefits each other. And if you can take advantage of playing the game horizontally whenever you have numbers, obviously that it loosens the box and it takes a little bit of pressure off those guys up front. But yeah, it's a lot of factors in being able to create movement, create space. Sometimes there's times that we're on the right guys, but if you don't create space, there's not a big big area to run, but just too many no gain or 1 yard gain runs.
So Clemson has scored at least 40 points in their last 3 games. How are you feeling right now about Florida State kind of ruining that streak and the confidence that must give your team?
Well, obviously we're here to win the game, and we did not do and perform well enough to do that. And, I thought our guys, they responded in challenging situations. I thought they fought, throughout the game. I was believing, throughout it that we were going to find a way to make that next play, and but unfortunately, they did what they needed to do to get the win. But there were some good moments, in the game, and some good things we could take from it, individually, but also just situationally. So we'll continue to work and be better.
The timeout on defense near the end of the first half. I know you often, pretty much always, are valuing trying to steal that extra possession, get the ball back if you can, to do what you can with the 1 minute drill. Is that something? It seems like, is that just that is your mindset regardless of anything else? You're not going to maybe change your thinking on that based on how your team is performing in a given moment or a given season?
I'm trying to create extra possessions.
Yeah, like call the timeout to get the ball back in the last minute of the game.
Yeah, I mean, there's trying to maximize possessions. Obviously when we were getting the ball just to there in the second half, if we get an opportunity to get another possession, we get an opportunity to double up, front, first, at the end of the first half and the second half. It's something we've been very successful at, throughout the years. And you still got to push and fight to go win the game, and that's what we're trying to do. And we're trying to maximize every potential advantage or potential opportunity to do that. And but unfortunately they were able to get down and go score there late. And we weren't able to answer it there in the second, coming out of the second half.
Mike, considering Brock's last 2 starts in just the almost impossible situation he was put in with those 2, how much can it help him moving forward? I know he didn't win. I know it was only 13 points, but he made some real plays and real moments, 3rd down throws, 4th down throws, runs for first downs, to get him that confidence moving forward where he could be the guy in this program for a year or years to come.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think with each experience, to see growth, to see improvement, he is, he's very confident in what he does, and even in some of those challenging situations after interception, where there was miscommunication. I mean, it was there wasn't a sense of panic with them. It was ownership in both, him and the receiver, and now let's go get it fixed, get better. And I think that he's got a great demeanor about him. I am proud of him for how he prepared. I'm proud of Luke for how he prepared. There was even times that going into it, potentially getting him an opportunity throughout it. Obviously the game, how it played and the kind of sequence, elected not to do that here for this one. But I'm excited about that room, and I think those guys. You see Brock with now. I guess it's his fourth game under his belt of experience, but I thought he did some better things than what he showed in his last start, and I fully expect him to take some positive steps moving forward because he shows you the flashes of what he's capable of.
Coach, 7 penalties tonight. You mentioned a little bit earlier, but how much did that kind of slow you guys down, and what were some of the reasons for those penalties today?
Yeah, some of them, it's disappointing. I don't know, the focus and emphasis on situational, penalty on the situational penalties on third downs. Signal it to them. We remind them it's the first day. It's one of the first things we talk about. In fall camp of points of emphasis on every day that we practice, we emphasize that, and it's a lapse in focus, not intentional, and nobody ever wants to do that, but that's where we have to be better, and when you sit there and you see that when that shows up, I mean it's extremely challenging, and we had a couple holding calls that put us in long yardage situations. Had a couple bad snaps, and somebody that doesn't ever have those. I mean, it's not like he's not. We've had 3 bad snaps this in the last couple games, and I couldn't tell you how many we had in the last year and a half, 2 years. And I mean, those are frustrating things that have showed up that. We're still working, every day to be better in those situations, and to focus on those fundamentals. But it's got to show up in the game.
With another off week ahead, just kind of what's the approach in terms of? I'm sure guys are beat up, but also probably mentally fatigued over the first half of the season. What's the approach this week? Yeah,
I mean, it's obviously there's going to be, guys will get a few days off. We come back with a Friday game, so it'll be a little bit shorter, coming back that next week. But we've got to be able to rest the bodies. We've lost a lot of guys this year. I mean, it's with injuries, the different lineups, what that's looked like. We try to get guys back and healed up if possible, and then continuing to grow and develop the guys that we have for our next game. And it's like I mentioned, there's a lot of evaluation of continuing to see what are the things that we've done that could bring spark, that could bring positive execution there in the moment, and that could allow this team to put itself in a better position to go win games. And because that's what we absolutely have to get done. And it's disappointing in the outcomes that we've seen because I believe we're better, and it's just for whatever reason those mistakes that obviously guys some guys take advantage of opportunities, some guys that have not, and it's coaches, it's our job to evaluate it and to put our guys in the best position with the players that we have. And I do believe in those guys, and I believe in what they can do, and we got to do a better job as a staff and making sure that that shows up on game day. And so they will get a little bit of time down off. Obviously we've got a lot of work in recruiting here with having going out and seeing games here this week at the end of it. But it's going to be a big push on continued emphasis on fundamentals and the things that are hurting us in the course of these contests, and going to get better at them. Thanks, guys.